The issue is not will Ethiopia access to the sea, but the question is how. By annexing part of Somalia and changing the borders of Somalia, it is an annexation of territory.
So they have said this is not an official recognition of the sovereignty of Somaliland.
We don't have that yet. It's you who have that.
No, they put it on. No, they put it on Twitter.
No, the Twitter is not the way to communicate between states.
How does this get resolved if there's no communication between you and Ethiopia?
It is up to them. It's not us.
So what do you say to Ethiopia?
Ethiopia has no right to do that. Legally, it has no right to do that.
But what if they do it?
That is another case. Let us hope that they will not do it. This is a piece of land that belongs to Somalia, and Somalia will never yield whatever pressure that comes on it. So far, Ethiopians, they didn't come into Somalia yet, and we hope that they will not. If they come in, then that will be a problem at a different level.
You've called Ethiopia an enemy. You have recalled your ambassador in Ethiopia. You have ruled out mediation with Addis unless they pull the plug on this deal. So how do you expect this crisis to be resolved then?
Well, it was not Somalia who created this problem. Ethiopia has created this problem. They are the ones who initiated claiming that they will take and annex part of Somalia to their country.
But they don't say they're annexing. Well, they say it's a commercial deal.
No, it is not. Ethiopia has commercial interests in Somalia. There's in Berbera, they use Berbera port, and they have a stake of 19% even in the ownership of the service of Berbera. And the place where they are now saying is just a few kilometers away, few hundred kilometers away from Berbera. There is no need for that. Whatever it is, let us assume that they need another port. And this is what we have been discussing for a couple of months ago. The issue is not will Ethiopia access to the sea. They are free to access throughout Somalia.
Where?
Everywhere in Somalia. But the question is how. How do they want to access the sea? By annexing part of Somalia and changing the borders of Somalia? This is what's going on right now. It is not a commercial. It is an annexation of territory.
So as you know, Ethiopia says it's not annexation. They say it's also not a formal recognition of the sovereignty of Somaliland. They say it is a commercial deal. And I just want to remind our viewers of what this potential deal is. The memorandum of understanding between Ethiopia and Somaliland is that they would rent a 20-kilometer stretch of coastline in Somaliland for half a century, for 50 years, for commercial purposes and for a military port as well. What is the part of that that angers Somalia?
First of all, Somalia is an independent and sovereign state. When such deals are taking place, it is the federal government of Somalia who has a legitimate right this thing to be discussed, not a breakaway or not a region of Somalia at all. And above all, commercial and military base mixed together and doing one thing, that's one. The other thing, if it is a 20-kilometer strip of land in the coast only, how that strip of land and how that port is going to be connected to Ethiopia by passing through Somalia, that's another one. The other one, it is in public domain. Ethiopia said we do this in exchange of recognition. We recognize Somaliland. That's a public and that's official. And they said, they didn't say it only one time. The Prime Minister said, the Minister of Foreign Affairs said, the National Security Advisor said, many other leaders in Ethiopia said. So the recognition is there.
But I'm sorry, but they have walked that all the way back, Somalia has. They have said this is not an official recognition of the sovereignty of Somaliland.
We don't have that yet. It's you who have that.
No, they put it on Twitter.
No, the Twitter is not the way to communicate between states.
Have you spoken to the Ethiopian Prime Minister then?
No.
Why not?
Why do I speak? Because he's taking part of my country and he's claiming we are not equal partners. When he said, I do not recognize Somalia, I recognize Somaliland, which was part of Somalia. Who am I talking to? He's talking to Somaliland.
How does this get resolved if there's no communication between you and Ethiopia?
He has to. You know, Somalia has not initiated this problem. It's Ethiopia has initiated. It is in the ball is in their court. They have to open the means of the conducive environment to communicate and to negotiate and to dialogue. It is up to them. It's not us.
So what do you say to Ethiopia?
I would like to say, Ethiopia, we are neighbors. We are not neighbors by choice. We have a history, long history, known, and this thing has not happened in the last more than 1,000 years that Somalia and Ethiopia was living together as people. We have some difficult histories, but I'm not going back to that history, which is difficult. But now, in 21st century, let the Ethiopia recognizes the sovereignty, the territorial integrity, and the political independence of Somalia, the Federal Republic of Somalia. Then we are two partners. We can negotiate everything. Ethiopia can have access. They can have deals with us, everything. But not the way they are approaching now. That's not the way the modern world works.
Have you spoken to the leadership in Somaliland?
1st January is the time when MOU was signed. On 27 December and 28 December, we were having a dialogue discussion in Djibouti, and we have a very good environment and very good discussion on us. And even when that conclusion was ended, Prime Minister Abiy appreciated, and he said, this is a good step taken towards the right direction. To me, he said to me, but the next day he signed that agreement.
Yeah, so indeed, you were with the leaders of Somaliland 2-3 days before that memorandum of understanding was signed. Are you saying then that they kept you in the dark about what they were about to do?
Yes, they never mentioned. We have been discussing how to unite Somalia, not how to give part of Somalia to Ethiopia. No, this was not the subject of discussion. The subject of discussion was the unity of Somalia, how we unite and how we address the grievances of the past and all this. That was the discussion.
What are you asking Ethiopia to do, and what happens if Ethiopia goes through with this memorandum of understanding, this deal?
Look, one thing is very clear. Ethiopia has no right to do that. Diplomatically, legally, it has no right to do
But what if they do it?
Well, that is another case. Let us hope that they will not do it. This is a piece of land that belongs to Somalia, and Somalia will never yield whatever pressure that comes on it. We will keep claiming our territory, and we will take it back, whatever it is. So far, Ethiopians, they didn't come into Somalia yet, and we hope that they will not. If they come in, then that will be a problem at a different level.
You traveled around the region recently. You went to Egypt on Sunday. You met with the Egyptian president, Mr. al-Sisi. Now, he had very harsh words against Ethiopia, and he said they should not try us, meaning they shouldn't try Egypt, especially if they are challenging a brother, by which he meant Somalia. He hinted essentially that Egypt, or that's what it sounded like, that Egypt would be willing to come to Somalia's military aid. Did you discuss military action with the Egyptian president?
Somalia is part of the Arab League, and in the Arab League there is a chapter in the charter that says that the attack of one country is the attack of the rest of the countries in that organization. So Somalia does not need to have a deal with any Arab country because that is a mandate to each and every Arab country, number one. Number two, Somalia and Egypt has a history, collaboration of history for a long time. Even if before we became independent in 1956, when the Canal Suez War was there, Somalia as a people, they were supporting with Egypt. And then all the way, many times Somalia has got into difficulty, Egypt to support it. The support does not mean boots on the ground.
Okay, that's my question, because I understand the history, but my question is, did you discuss potential military action?
No. We have not discussed it. Egyptian military coming to Somalia. And we believe that the problem has not reached there yet. And that's why he's saying, warning and all this, don't do it, please.
Okay. This may sound like a naive question, but is there perhaps a win-win scenario here between Somalia and Ethiopia where the two countries can cooperate? Ethiopia wants access to the sea, as, by the way, all landlocked countries do. Somalia, on the other hand, is fighting the armed group al-Shabaab. We'll get to that a little bit more in a moment. There are thousands of Ethiopian troops on Somalian territory as part of that ongoing effort. Isn't there a way, perhaps, that the two countries can come to some kind of understanding to diffuse this crisis?
I have to repeat it again. The question between Somalia and Ethiopia is not how will Ethiopia access to the sea. That's not the question. We want Ethiopia to have an access to the sea. But the question is how Ethiopia is going to have that access to the sea. That's number one. And that if Ethiopia is ready, we are ready to discuss. But grabbing a piece of land, we are not ready for that.
There you have it, guys. our African leaders try to do their best, in their speeches and try to make speeches that actually to show, their efforts in trying to help manage the challenges which Africa is actually facing through and has been facing through since the colonial times. And so we here to really listen to these speeches and to share our thoughts in the comments. And so whatever it is you guys think about these speeches, please do share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please share and like and subscribe, because that's the way you support Kwazemi as a channel, an Afrocentric channel, where we try to understand deeper issues in African history and hopefully develop a collective intelligence on how we wish to build the Africa we want to see as people of Africa. See you in the next one.